Hello there, everybody. It's Eternal Snowman here with another episode of TLT, weekly podcast slash whatever I'm going to call this. I don't even remember. And this is going to be looking at what happened in round two as well as the previous of round three. So we'll go through all the highlight matchups as well as my personal players who underperformed and overperformed in this round and just some good matchups that happened, as well as looking at all the great matchups in round three. Now, let me start off by going through all of the highlight matches that went through, and also apologies for this video coming out a little bit late because I've been busy with different stuff, as well as I couldn't find anybody to actually come onto the show with me, unfortunately. So I'll try to make it more consistently, find people to come onto the show with me, but I just wanted to get one out here and look forward to a episode on VGC stuff, or sorry, a video on VGC stuff that's going to come out soon because I just finished playing in regionals this past weekend, which was really fun and entertaining. But I wanted to give my thoughts on how VGC has gotten so far as a Smogon player. So look forward to that. Be doing that. And that's about it for announcements. So we can just get right into the highlight matchup. So Omnis Draco versus myself. I think I played the game pretty well, and then it came down to a 50-50 at the end of the game, which I think I probably should have just switched. He had a shift tree out, and I had a -1 primate out, -1 defense primate out. And so if I switched, then I would have gotten a roll on the sucker punch, but then he could have possibly SD'd. So I was scared of the SD. I went for the attack, and then he beat me. And then in the Ubers game, I didn't play super well, but he also got quite lucky. He won at speed tie and then crit me with the Arceus, which was very unfortunate. But that's about that. It for that game. So he won 2-0 and beating me in PU and Ubers, which was I didn't play the best I could have, so kind of my fault on that. Mysterious M versus Luthier. Mysterious M. Oh, that's right. That set was not super clean. Mysterious M did manage to take it. Let me see if I have. I think the replays. Unfortunately, I don't have the replays, but yeah, Luthier didn't manage to beat Mysterious M, which was very unfortunate. However, I would have favored Mysterious M a little bit. I think he's overall a little bit better of a player. Snowfall versus Ham. Ham was heavily favored coming into this match, in my opinion, but he got hacked pretty hard in the NU match. And the RU match, I think he didn't play the best, but he also got hacked quite a lot, so I think he might have been just a little tilted, which was unfortunate. Big Boy versus Ziri, that one went to a game 3, and Ziri actually ended up throwing in the Ubers game. He had a 100% win, but he didn't realize that Scarf Eviltal didn't run Sucker Punch, so he actually threw the game by doing that, and Big Boy ended up taking that one. SMB versus Serene was a really interesting game. Most of these, Snowfall versus Ham, Ziri versus Big Boy, and SMB versus Serene's Grace are all on my channel as highlight VODs from MJ stream. I think Luthier versus MM might be as well, but I'm not 100% sure. SMB versus Serene's Grace was an interesting set. Both of the first two games went really fast, doubles and LC respectively, and then SMB managed to take, I believe, UU was their third tier of choice. But yeah, it was a very fast set because they both tried to bring they both won their respective tiers really fast. And then going through different other matchups, there wasn't really anything surprising. HR did beat Ronman. Ninja Dog won. Mysterious PCD showed up again against Twixtree. I didn't think Twixtree played that solid. I think he perhaps isn't that well suited towards this format, and I don't think he played super well. And PCD definitely showed up on the day much better. Um, Leo beat Taylor, which is expected. Mac Knife beat Prince of Tacos. Yeah, these are all basically expected matches. Bdov lost to Rs9. I actually don't remember that set. I would need to go back and watch it to see. And I would say most of these are more or less expected set outcomes. Um, let's see. I'm gonna say though that I didn't watch a lot of the sets this week, mostly because I was very busy this week with a bunch of other stuff, mainly finals and regionals. So I didn't manage to watch all the sets. I just watched the highlight ones and then some of the other ones I could catch. So I didn't know like somehow like all the outcomes and didn't watch all the sets, but mostly I see that things went as expected. There's a couple sets that were not like this one, Papa Bisexual, which I believe his name is he. Oh, it's Huskies versus London. I definitely think London is a better player, but didn't show up on the day. I guess I don't remember exactly what happened in their set, but yeah. Um, but yeah. And Sanjay didn't play super well in his set either, but I think most of the sets are did have um, expected outcomes, and even the ones that were losers or like that were upsets or whatever, I wasn't super impressed by anyone specifically, as in like they were outplaying what I thought their potential was, but more of people who I expected their potential to be higher to be actually lower than I was expecting, and or didn't like play well in their specific set. So the only exception to that is PCD. I think PCD has been playing very well. He's been playing higher than I expected him to, and credit to people who gave him who did say that he was going to be a good player, because there were definitely people, not myself, but people who did say that he was going to be a good player. But there were other than that, like I didn't see anyone who was overperforming what I thought they would be coming into this week. So we can move into round three. So because of double elimination format, round three is or all odd rounds from here on out will be losers only rounds. So it'll be in this Rosie versus SMB, Lightning versus LKA PKD, or I'll just go down one by one. Rosie versus SMB, I think SMB is at a huge advantage. Obviously, I think he's at a huge advantage in his neutral tier, but I also think that Rosie, I don't think is even good enough to necessarily lock OU or UU versus SMB and necessarily have a free win. I think it'll be very tough for Rosie to even take one game here. But I do think I wouldn't say it's a non-zero chance though for him to win versus SMB, because I do think that it's possible that if he preps well and plays well on the day that he can be SMB in both like an OU and a UU or OU and NU or something like that, OU RU set. But I just don't think it's very likely. I would favor SMB. I would say this matchup is probably something like 70-30, 75-25 or something like that. Lightning versus LKA PKD. Normally I would say Lightning or Negatory is a much better player overall than LKA PKD, like by far. But I do think that he has shown susceptibility to being beaten by like worse players. And I think while his understanding of the game is a lot better and has the potential to be a much better player, I do think that he has tendencies to choke. So I wouldn't say that this matchup is as far away as it may initially seem, especially because LKA PKD can bring some like really spicy cheese sets, and his HEO teams can be a little bit more difficult to deal with if not prepared for properly. So I would say this matchup is something like a 55-45 or something in Negatory's favor. PG Clouds versus Tote. As much as I would love to see LKA PKD versus Tote, because that would just be an amazing set, I do think PG Clouds has Tote quite outmatched. PG should be able to win his locked tier, which I believe would be mono, even though Tote is a decent mono player. I think PG Clouds is probably one of the best mono players in this tournament. And I don't see To as a clear favorite in OU or whatever he decides to lock, maybe Ubers or whatever it is. And I would say the set is probably 60-40 in Peachy's favor. Ziri versus King of Crimea, while this is a great highlight match and this should be pretty high level for this round, I would say Ziri is a better player, and mostly because formatting favors him. I think Ziri has the advantage in tiers like Monotype and PU, where King of Crimea has limited to no experience. And while King of Crimea may have the advantage in potentially OU, UU and RU are some of Ziri's best tiers as well, so it's very hard for me to justify picking King of Crimea over Ziri because King of Crimea um, hasn't shown to be able to be great in tiers that Ziri has not been shown to be good at, so like Ubers or like doubles or something like that. So I would say that while Ziri is very favored to win his locked tier, King of Crimea's locked tier isn't necessarily that of a lock of a win for him. So he would have to overcome the odds in probably 2 games, rather than just having to win the neutral tier. Frisso Eva versus Plimsoil Punks. I think Frisso is much better. Not much to say. I think Plimsoil Punks is a bit outmatched here. Huskies versus Bedov. Huskies did manage to come off a pretty good win versus London. I don't know how much Bedov is going to care. I would say Bedov is probably a better player overall, but it's hard to say because like I don't know how much the Bedov is going to try for the rest of this tournament. One thing that I've noticed is that a lot of players do tend to drop in motivation, especially if you lose earlier in rounds. This happened a lot last TLT, so I don't know how much Bedov is gonna care. Some of the other players I've spoke on, I know they will care a lot more. So yeah. Ham versus Neomon, I would say Ham is a much better player than Neomon, and Neomon has not shown up to the level that I was expecting at this tournament, and I don't think he cares that much about winning, and is just here to have fun. So I don't think he can beat Ham here, unless he has some amazing prep and Ham doesn't play super well or gets lucked again. I would say Ham is a better player. Trace versus I'm Just Gray. Trace is a better player, and the tiers are disgustingly in his favor. He's playing both of his best tiers in LC and RU, so I expect Trace to take this easily. Poison Adhesive versus Havens. I still haven't seen enough out of both of them to say which player is necessarily better. I think Havens has played solid games so far, and Poison Adhesive, I haven't caught many of their TLT sets, but I'll just have to say pass on this one. I don't super know how this set is going to go. Prince of all tacos versus Mikav. I think Mikav is quite good as a player, and I don't see him losing this early on. I'm going to say he's going to win this probably 70-30 or so chance. And then not Mian versus Taylor. This actually already happened. Taylor won 2-0. And weirdly, I think his teams are a little. His team choice has been a little weird. So, yeah. But I'll speak a little bit more about this set later, potentially. Or actually, no. I'll just talk about it now. I think Taylor has some really interesting set choices. He brings some really jank teams. And it really, while his playing is okay, I do think that he in general has like some really whack teams, and if if their opponent like plays very solid, then I don't see him winning like against some of the top players. Plaz versus Twixtree is probably the best match of this round, but it really just depends on how much each player shows up. Plaza is definitely favored in LC, and Twixtree is favored in OU, so it depends on what they're playing for their third tier. I would love to see them play NU in their final tier just to see, just to like give a nice three game set. That would be very interesting to watch. But I would still favor Plaz here. I think he is overall a much better player and has shown up to play better at this tournament, I guess. Even though he hasn't played absolutely the best, I do think Twixtree has severely underperformed. Luthier beat Algino, I believe in 3 games. I didn't actually catch the set live, but or watch the replays. In fact, I was doing something else. It happened earlier today. Spitfire Arcanine versus Siphican. Siphican, I think, goes by a different name on PS, but I don't remember. But Spitfire Arcanine, I'll say, is favored here. I think he's a better player. I'm not too sure. I don't remember that much about Siphican, so I apologize about that. Weeping Devil versus Ronman. Ronman, I believe, is a better player, mostly just because Weeping Devil was Whimpering. Played really badly in round one. I believe I don't remember exactly who they played against round two. Let me check. They beat Little Lucky JNO. So yeah, I would put more stock in Ronman here just because I feel like I haven't seen enough from Whimpering, even though they did both lose a set and both win one set. I do think Ronman probably is a better player, and then my own set versus Chinese Food Lover. I won't speak too much about that other than I hope I win. So thank you guys for watching for another episode of TLT podcast, weekly recap / predictions, whatever this is, highlights, predictions, stuff like that. And I hope you guys are looking forward to more content because that's what's going to be here, more content, especially stuff about VGC and maybe some stuff about Cypher as well as other stuff. Just more stuff because I'll have some free time to be recording some videos. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time for another episode of the TLT podcast.